Hello, I'm Mark Anderson, American Free Press editor, and we're covering the 2011 Bilderberg meeting. That is AFP, the foremost national news weekly in the United States. And I'm an apprentice at covering Bilderberg. I covered Spain last year, this year, 2011, in St. Moritz, Switzerland. But I'm talking to my AFP colleague and longtime Bilderberg hound, Jim Tucker, who's been doing this since I was in grade school. For more than 30 years, he's been covering the Bilderberg meetings, hounding them, getting other media, especially in Europe and elsewhere, to wake up to this, just as American Free Press is doing now with its reporting, and its predecessor, The Spotlight, for which Jim wrote, also did back in its day. And so I admire Jim a lot. He's taught me a lot about news in general, and Bilderberg in particular. And I want to welcome you, Jim, in this interview.
Oh, always fun.
Always fun. Too much fun sometimes. At any rate, Jim, tell the listeners here and the viewers what's significant about Bilderberg. One thing that I've come to learn from working with you is that, in essence, since Bilderbergers, that is, highfalutin types, media moguls, top corporate execs, royalty, former and current U.S. congressmen, aspiring U.S. presidents, prime ministers, the whole witch's brew, reporters sworn to secrecy, the whole thing, that this collusion of the mighty, this collusion of the rich and powerful is de facto proof that major decisions are made in a conspiratorial manner.
Yes, by covering Bilderberg, I've been able to do advanced stories of Clinton's bombing of Kosovo, for example. President Bill Clinton is the most bloody-handed traffic dodger who ever disgraced the White House. I mean, he dodged the draft. It was not 4F or anything like that. He just stayed out of the country until he was past the draft age that Lyndon Johnson had set for Vietnam. Or, I think it's, or the first Persian Gulf War, one of those wars. But then after he's in the White House in his first year, he orders the bombing of Kosovo. Now, we had no casualties. Americans like cute little wars, but none of our guys get hurt. But thousands on the ground died. The reason nobody got hurt was just an air war altogether. And the planes flew so high they'd be out of range of the ground rockets, so they could not precisely bomb precisely. That's why McDonald's full of children killed. That's why a bridge was blown up, along with a school bus full of little children and countless civilians.
All in a day's work for a Bilderberger-approved president like Bill Clinton.
Just a short work. Well, he himself had been made president by Bilderberg. As you'll recall, he attended the Bilderberg meeting, I think it was 1990, as the obscure governor of Arkansas, and a year later was elected president of the United States. You bet he followed orders. But we've done advanced stories on several wars and on the downfall of Lady Thatcher as Prime Minister of Britain. She attended one Bilderberg meeting, had nothing to say, didn't like it, and left. They were offended that she was offended. So Bilderberg ordered her to be dumped by her own Conservative Party, replaced by a trapeze artist named John Major. A couple of years later, I had the pleasure of chatting with Lady Thatcher, and I asked her how she felt about her reaction to being denounced by Bilderberg. And she said it was I remember she used the word tribute, and this is a close paraphrase. She said something to the fact that I consider it a tribute to be denounced by Bilderberg. And then she went on to say that any head of state who has surrendered any national sovereignty to an international group is a horrible person. And of course they were mad because Britain still does not embrace the euro. They still use the British pound, which is of course a symbol of sovereignty and currency. Oh, there's been some others over the years, but the wars in Maggie are the biggest, I think. So we can always know what to anticipate after we get through For instance, we know already from Bilderberg that we can anticipate recession going through the year 2012. Pressure to escalate the war in the Middle East, the invasion of Libya, such a big threat to, a military threat to all of us.
Yes, of course.
So they're determined to build that into a major Middle East war because you make profit. There's more profits to be made. Many of these kids are the Bilderberg kids, are the descendants of heavy industry, born to great wealth. And when you spill the lifeblood of young men in the heart's blood of our women, you're making a lot of money because you're making airplanes, tanks, jeeps, trucks. And that pays off big.
War is business, more so all the time, big business.
In fact, every war we've had afterwards, it's been discovered great war profiteering in all of our wars, even back to the War of 1812.
Yeah, very, very sobering
And
fact.
it's typical of all countries, I believe, that war profiteering.
So Bilderberg, it's rare for them to encounter a Lady Thatcher, a national leader who will forego their sovereignty-draining policies and actually stand up for national pride, national identity. We see the Swiss president this year, 2011, Doris Leuthard, attending. We see Swiss civil law enforcement, Mrs. Barbara Genome Steiner, attending, even though a national counselor of Switzerland, a legislator, Dominique Beytig, had warned her that Switzerland should not host rogue characters like Bilderberg, and in fact she should prevent them from meeting in Switzerland in the first place. What does Genome Steiner do? She attends the Bilderberg meeting. And so the Lady Thatchers of the world are rather rare. Here, even in the independent-minded Switzerland, we see officials buckling under and going to these plutocratic gatherings. But what do you make of that? The high and mighty have a way of seducing people, don't they?
Well, yes, when they
flattering them.
When you make you president or help make you head of state, then you have to be a good boy and follow orders. I know of no other head of state who has bucked Bilderberg, including American presidents.
You can only think of Lady Thatcher as having concretely and openly and definitively bucking Bilderberg.
Yes.
So that's a rare
American presidents
thing.
cannot attend for the simple reason that the White House press office puts out a detailed accounting of his time each day. So to the point where they'll say 11:33 a.m. President rides bicycle until 11:45 a.m. President gets off bicycle at 8:46 and walks to the Rose Garden, arriving at 8:59. The whole day is the size of a paperback novel. So there's just no way a president of the United States can simply not be accounted for even an hour, much less a day or two at Bilderberg. But a high White House official is there. I've just got this, I haven't seen which one yet, but there always is. And also Secretary of State, Defense, Treasury, other cabinet members, high officials throughout the government.
But
and
the key is that the aspiring president, the would-be president, Barack Obama in Chantilly, Virginia at Bilderberg before he was president, possibly Texas Governor Rick Perry, who might enter the GOP field seeking that nomination for president. The aspiring president is, of course, fair game for Bilderberg, and in fact, we're looking for the possibility of Texas Governor Rick Perry being there this year, as you know. So once you're president, as you say, your time is too accounted for, but they sure have a way of making the would-be president step into their circle to get their approval, as Bill Clinton, as you explained earlier, and possibly Rick Perry on the Republican side. So that's something they really concentrate on.
Yes, often Bilderberg will invite maybe an American senator or governor they think might be a presidential material. If he's invited back for a second Bilderberg meeting the next year, start thinking about him as a presidential candidate. If they don't invite him back, that means they tossed the phone away. Now, it could be they were afraid this guy wouldn't be obedient enough, or it'd be hard to elect. But let's say the guy's invited back for a second year, you're not sure he's the potential president.
Correct. Now, Rick Perry, the Texas governor, was there, as you reported,
Yes.
in 2007 in Istanbul, Turkey, one of the rare instances when the Bilderberg held a meeting that was not in a more Western-like nation. But there was Perry, Istanbul, Turkey. Now there's this possibility he might leave the midterm Texas governorship, just like George W. Bush did before him when Rick Perry was lieutenant governor. So now all eyes are out for Rick Perry, aren't they? Possibly showing up this year, which would mean his second Bilderberg meeting in less than 5 years.
Well, I haven't had a chance to check Bilderberg's announced this. Now, it's possible if they've got it here. Well, I need to check Texas newspapers to see if he's owned some kind of a mission to Britain or Berlin or some convenient European spot.
Yes.
So he could pop in and not be listed. It'd be very impolitic for him to let the Texans read about him attending another Bilderberg meeting.
Yeah, it would not be good.
His knickers are not last time.
Well, that's certainly something to watch for here, roughly in the middle of the 2011 Bilderberg meeting in St. Moritz, Switzerland, in the eastern part of the country, in Canton Graubünden. Anyway, Jim, moving on, as we go through this Bilderberg meeting this year, are you looking for any new developments in terms of war and peace, monetary policy, or continuations of existing operations that Bilderberg might grab onto or enlarge or modify? Do you think any other austerity measures like the IMF measures for Spain, Greece, Portugal, Ireland, do you think anyone else is in their sights? And a particular question is Switzerland's, whose traditions are so contrary to the Bilderberg central rule model, because Switzerland has this home rule, grassroots, direct democracy. Do you think Switzerland could be in their crosshairs, possibly? And are they looking at forcing Switzerland into the European Union, since it's virtually the only European country that's not part of the EU, nor is it part of NATO? Do you think that could be part of their goal, get Switzerland into the fold?
It very well could be, but I don't think they'll succeed.
One would hope not.
I don't think the Swiss take them that seriously.
Do you think meeting in Switzerland is more than just a convenience? Do you think that it has more meaning, possibly? I don't know.
Well, they've been
What
in
is your view?
Switzerland over the years about 4 times. Never in St. Marie before, but...
Okay. So in the course of their existence, this
Yeah.
is about the 4th time in Switzerland.
During the course of their existence, yes.
And so it remains to be seen, are you saying, whether Switzerland will suffer any particular consequence from them being here?
I kind of doubt it. They're debating among themselves now over how to keep the recession going. They're debating about whether or not to raise interest rates or control interest rates, which will work better as far as controlling the economy of the world.
They look at the
And of
big
course,
picture, yes. The oil prices, energy.
And they also hope to create a World Department of Treasury in the United Nations.
Another one of their big picture items, yes.
Another step toward world government.
So the particular Swiss situation remains to be seen. How about matters of war and peace? Even if Switzerland doesn't get the Irish or Greek austerity treatment a la IMF, do you think that they're going to keep this Libyan debacle going indefinitely, even while we still operate in Afghanistan and Iraq?
Yeah, they're going to try to. Now, Henry Kissinger publicly poses as a peace advocate. Inside Bilderberg, he said, keep the war in Afghanistan going, and we'll have to have a residual force there 18 months from now. And he's all part of the troop surge that Barack Obama ordered as part of the withdrawal of program. Now, Obama is an obedient Bilderberg boy. They understand his political problems. In fact, they're very disturbed that Congressman